Welcome back. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue our study in the prophecy of Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah. And we're going to be in chapter 20 as we're continuing our study at this point. Welcome back to those in the chat, Isha, Bataman. Now, there's a lot of people today that want spotlight. This is true in almost every area of life. That's why you have people that really continually put their faces on places like Facebook, TikTok, showing themselves. A lot of people are looking for attention and spotlight. That's just the way it is in society today. And it makes sense in a society that's, where a lot of people are looking for that 15 minutes of fame that can make them some money. Maybe they could get a million, clicks. Maybe they can get a million views. It has enriched a lot of people being able to do something, show themselves. It's generally something that is involving a woman that is, generally showing a lot of her body. If that's, you'll see them exercise, you'll see different things, and they're looking for the attention. On YouTube, the people that generally get the most views are people that have either they've lost a lot of weight, right? They're showing a great weight loss, because weight loss is very big in society because there's a lot of overweight people. Or it's a woman that either she's lost weight or she's working out or she's doing something and she's wearing stuff that causes that brings attention to her body. And on YouTube, that's big time. People will click on that, right? And then, of course, there's some other things too, but the point is that people are looking for that attention. People want that. They want it in the religious world. There are people that are looking to become the next Billy Graham. They want to go to a stadium full of people and have people cheering for them and giving them money. They want giant mega churches like TD Jakes has, or like some of these other mega churches have. People's dreams is to have a whole bunch of people like that coming to their building, their organization, pouring money into them and giving them all the attention. That's generally how it is. And a lot of times what you'll see also is people that will do this. Like, for example, maybe you'll see this with musicians. They'll say, "Oh, I want to give all glory to God," and they stand up to sing, but they're really looking for the record deal. You're saying they're really looking for the record deal, but I want to give all glory to God, but they're looking to get paid. Okay, and you know what? I'm not going to criticize that, but that's just how it is. That's just how it is. So people want to be preachers. A lot of times they want churches. They want their churches big. They want to collect a lot of money. Nowadays, they even putting ATM machines in the churches so you can go get your money out and give it to them. And so that's the way it is in the modern world. Now, also, as we allude to all the time, the Bible is very plain when it says that the devil deceiveth the whole world, and that the world wanders after the beast, and that the world worships the dragon, which gave power to the beast. So that the devil has put the whole earth in deceive mode, and everybody's with it. Okay, so that things that are upright turn upside down. Okay, and Yah's law is put aside. His people are put aside. Even his people put aside his law. In this environment, whenever there's a messenger of truth, one thing you will know about the messenger of truth: their life will be sought for. You'll know messengers of truth when people want to kill them. And you'll know people that are not messengers of truth if they get a lot of attention and nobody's threatening to kill them or nobody has killed them. And again, I use the example recent, like in the last, 50 to 60, 100 years, you're talking about people that have been killed for speaking out about certain things. Medgar Evers was murdered in his driveway for speaking out on behalf of voting rights in Mississippi. Okay. There have been journalists in Russia that have been murdered because they have been using their journalistic platform to speak against inequality, speak against things going on, corruption in Russia. There was a journalist that was killed in the United States because he exposed the government plan to spread crack cocaine in black neighborhoods throughout the United States, starting in South Central LA. Okay, he exposed it in his writing as a journalist, and they said he committed suicide, but he was killed. And of course, we know about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, whose lives were all cut short for standing firm for truth. Okay? And the opposite is true. As we talked about, Reverend Al Sharpton has his own television show. Louis Farrakhan flies all over the world. Okay? Reverend Jesse Jackson is thought to be a legend of some sort. These people still alive. Ain't nobody killed them. Nobody tried to kill them. Okay? Nobody tried to kill them. So when you see that, you know, there's two dudes. There's a guy named Bill Cooper and there's a guy named Alex Jones. And they were very similar. Bill Cooper was bringing out stuff the government was doing, bringing out stuff the Catholic Church was doing. And Alex Jones purports to do that. They killed Bill Cooper. Alex Jones is still alive. That tells you something. Okay? That tells you something. Okay? So I guess what I'm saying is what we're going to read today is whenever somebody is standing up and speaking truth and they get a lot of exposure, you can expect them to be killed. Unless the Most High interjects, you can expect them to be killed. Because that's how this world handles truth. That's how it handles it. It kills people. I would not classify Abraham Lincoln as no messenger of truth. But he did sign the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. And what happened in 1865? He was murdered. Okay, he was murdered. Whenever somebody stands up for truth, for real, you can bet somebody gonna try to kill him. Seriously try to kill him. Before Martin Luther King was killed, somebody stabbed him in the heart. Did y'all know that? A woman in New York stabbed him in the heart with a thin instrument to try to kill him, get him in the heart. And they said it almost killed him. He survived that one, though. They said if it was less than a quarter inch more, he'd been dead. Now, later on in Nashville, they caught up with him there. But they always kill the messengers of truth. And that's not anything new of this modern age. The Bible talks about it. And as a matter of fact, the ultimate messenger of truth is Messiah. Messiah is the ultimate messenger of truth. Messiah is the ultimate messenger from the Father with the truth. And again, they killed the messenger. The difference, though, with Messiah is that he is Messiah. And let me again explain what that means to be Messiah. See, there's been a lot of people that make claims, you know, this one's a messenger of the Messiah and this one's Messiah. Muslim try to say Farad Muhammad, some sort of Messiah. That's garbage. Let me tell you why. Because first of all, the only true people from the Most High that are his people, we always say, is Israelite. Israel is the only nation that he has chosen. Okay, I can give you multiple scriptures for that. He's only chosen Israel. We've been through them scriptures a lot, right? Amos. In fact, let's just go through some, just so that if somebody ever asks you, you have the scriptures, right? So let's take like three messengers, three witnesses for that. Okay, let's do that. First, Amos chapter 3. Amos chapter 3, verse 2. Amos 3:2. These are witnesses that he's only chosen one nation. Amos 3:2. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Amos 3:2. You only, he tells Israel, have I known of all the families of the earth. You only. Wait, I told you I'm going to give you three witnesses. I got more, but I'm going to give you three just for the sake. Three of my favorites. Put it that way. Three of my favorites. Here's another one. Psalm 147. Psalm 147. Psalm 147. I'm gonna give you four because now we're in the neighborhood of Psalms. There's a couple of them here. Okay. I'm gonna read from verse 2 through 5 and then 19 and 20 of Psalm 147. Verse 2 through 5, then 19 and 20. Yahweh doth build up Jerusalem. He gathereth together the outcasts of Israel. He healeth the broken in heart and bindeth up their wounds. He telleth the number of the stars. He calleth them all by their names. Great is our Yahweh, and of great power. His understanding is infinite. Skip down to verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. He hath not dealt so with any nation. As for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. So he showed his statutes unto Jacob, his judgments to Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. That's witness 2. First witness said he had not known any other nation but Israel. Okay, he has shown himself to nobody else. Okay, let me give you another one. Let me give you another one. Psalm 105. Psalm 105. While we in Psalm 105. I'm going to start at verse 6. Psalm 105, beginning at verse 6. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. He is Yahweh our Most High. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. Who he made the covenant with? Israel for an everlasting covenant. Let's give you another witness. Another one of my favorites, Deuteronomy. The book of the law. These be the words. Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy. There's a few in Deuteronomy, but since Moses wrote Deuteronomy, this is just one witness, right? So Moses is giving several witnesses. Okay. He's giving several witnesses about this. So let's take a look. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Most High. Yahweh hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. Above all the nations, he hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself above all the nations that are upon the earth. He hath not shown himself to any other people. He hath made with Israel an everlasting covenant. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Wait a minute. Deuteronomy chapter 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. Just as I think this is the fourth witness. This is the fourth one? I think it is. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Most High. Yahweh thy Most High hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth. I think, let me give you one more Moses. Now we're on a roll. We like butter on a roll. Let me give you one more Moses. Exodus. Let me see. I'm going to find it. Exodus. Exodus chapter, I want to say it's chapter 33. Exodus chapter 33. Yeah, Exodus chapter 33. That's it. Exodus 33. Notice this. Exodus chapter 33, beginning at verse 12 and go down to verse 16. Exodus 33, 12 to 16. Here's a fifth witness. Oh, well, this is Moses. So let's say we didn't say Moses, David, right, and Amos, right, and there's others, but let's go with Exodus chapter 33 from verse 12 to verse 16. Moses giving multiple witnesses. And Moses said unto Yahweh, see, thou sayest unto me, bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, show me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For watch this. For wherein shall it be known here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not in that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. So he's chosen how many people? How many nations? He's chosen one. Okay, he chose one nation. Israel is his chosen people. So now, Messiah of Israel is the Messiah of the chosen people. What makes him Messiah? In Israel, listen now, in Israel, they had a king like David, and they had priests, a high priest like Samuel, okay, or Aaron, and they had prophets. Now, sometimes a king could be a prophet, like David was a prophet and a king. Sometimes a priest can be a prophet, like Samuel was a priest and a prophet. So was Aaron, a priest and a prophet. But you would never have in Israel a man that is the prophet, the priest, and the king. You would never have that. One time Uzziah tried to usurp the priest's office, and he was turned into a leper. Saul tried to usurp the priest's office as being a king, and the kingdom was taken from him. Okay? You would never have a prophet who is also the priest and the king, except in one case, Messiah. Messiah was the prophet. Messiah is called the high priest of the children of Israel. And he is called, when he comes to this earth in his father's name to claim his kingdom, he is called King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The only person in history of the only nation being chosen of the whole families of the earth is the only one that's the prophet, the priest, and the king. There is no other Messiah. Okay? There is no other. There's only one. Anybody else makes that claim, they'll be like Uzziah, should get leprosy. Or like Saul, end up with the witch of Endor. There's only one that's the prophet, the priest, and the king. That's Messiah. Okay? That's what makes him special above all other persons that ever walked this planet. He's the only one walked this planet that's the prophet, the priest, and the king. Because he's representing the Father. Okay? He's representing the Father. Okay? So now, I said all that to say, that's what makes the messengers of Messiah different. Malcolm X didn't know what we know. He with the black Muslims. Martin Luther King was a Baptist minister. He didn't know what we know. As learned as Khalid Abdul Muhammad was, he didn't know what we know. We are now awakening. Now, all of these men were part of the awakening. And Fred Hampton coming out of darkness into light. And before they could get all the way there, their life was snuffed out. Because all of them were dealing on the political stage. You understand? As well as the spiritual, we're dealing with the political stage of the earth. We are dealing with Messiah's Father, our Father, Yahweh, and the kingdom of Messiah that is soon to be established. That's the kingdom we're dealing with. The kingdom that's what the Bible says. As a matter of fact, Daniel, we just read this in Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. In the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms and shall stand forever. Daniel's another one that like to give multiple testimonies. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. He bears witness again of the same thing. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel 7. Beginning at verse 13. Daniel 7, beginning at verse 13 and going down to verse 18. Daniel 7, 13 to 18. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven and came to the Ancient of Days. And they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the thing. These great beasts, which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. That's the difference between the Israelite kingdom and every other one that ever existed on the planet. It's going to not be temporary. It's going to be forever, even forever and ever. It's putting that emphasis, letting you know it's perpetuity. It's never going to end. Okay. And the Messiah of that kingdom, the prophet, priest, and king, is going to be ruler over this planet. David is going to rule in Israel, in Jerusalem. Bible says he's going to raise David up and put him there. And Messiah is going to reign over the earth as the King of Kings. Okay. That's the difference. So the messengers of Messiah are different than the rest. We may get killed, but he'll raise us back up again, just like the 24 elders sitting around the throne in Revelation chapter 4. The 24 elders were human beings that were brought from the earth. Don't you recall in Matthew chapter 27? Matthew chapter 27. Notice what it says. Matthew chapter 27, after the resurrection of the Messiah. Matthew chapter 27. Notice what it says. Matthew 27. Matthew 27, verse 51, 52, and 53. Matthew 27, 51 to 53. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. And the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were open. And many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. There were people that were resurrected when the Messiah was resurrected. That's why he was resurrected during what do you call that? During the Feast of the First Fruits, during Pentecost, right before Pentecost, 40 days later, after the wave offering. That represents the first fruit. The wave offering represents the first fruits. Okay. And that's why you see in Revelation chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4. Notice what it says. Revelation chapter 4. Revelation 4, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 5. Revelation 4 from verse 1 to verse 5. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper, and like a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunders and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of Yahweh. These 24 elders are the people redeemed from the earth. And they were the first fruits of the Messiah's victory over death and sin. So now the messengers of Yahweh are going to be a special group. And in fact, they have a name in the Bible. They're called the 144,000. And they're not going to suffer the fate like a Malcolm X or like a Khalid Abdul Muhammad or like a Fred Hampton. Messiah going to treat them like the 3 messengers, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. You remember them? Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Y'all remember them? Otherwise known as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego by the Babylonians, but their Hebrew names was Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Daniel chapter 3. Daniel chapter 3. Daniel 3. Daniel 3. I'm going to start. Daniel 3, I'm going to start at verse 10. Daniel 3, beginning at verse, I'm going to start at verse 8. Daniel 3, beginning at verse 8. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. And they spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods. They serve not thy gods in Babylon. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that most high that shall deliver you out of my hand? You know what that's called, right? In the modern era, they call that giving them a chance to recant. I'm going to give you a chance to recant from this strange God you worshiping. Everybody know I got all the power on earth. And who's going to save you from me if you don't worship what I tell you to do? That's the mark of the beast, y'all. There it is. And it's when they try to push it on the Israelite people is when you're going to see the hand of the Most High move. Okay? Here we go. Verse 16. So he said, Who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered. Listen to their answer. And said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar. Notice they didn't say live forever. They said, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner. We're not worried about what you feel about what we're about to tell you. These some bold brothers, man. These some bold Hebrews right here. If it be so, our Most High whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury. Like, you know how people get when they think they got all the power and you defy them? They get real angry. That's how Asatan feels, right? Real angry. He was full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, their hats, and other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said to the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the son of Yahweh. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High Yahweh, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth in the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their heads singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire passed on them. There you go. That's the difference. The messengers today, the 144,000, are going to have more power. They're going to be guided by the Father's Spirit, like all the rest of messengers in the past. But when it gets to a certain point, the Father's not going to allow Asatan the satisfaction of killing us. But we're going to be hunted to be killed, no question. We're going to be hunted to be killed. Notice again, Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13. Revelation 13. Revelation 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Whoever would not worship the image, same in Daniel 3, should be killed. Okay? So they're going to hunt us to kill us like they did Elijah. Ahab hunted Elijah to kill him until it was time for Elijah to stand up on Mount Carmel. Then they put their hands on him. Why? Because the Most High was protecting him. Okay? But always the call is to kill the messenger. That's always the call. When somebody's standing up for truth, the call is to kill the messenger. That's always the call, brother. That's the way it is when you stand up for truth in a world that's dominated with lies. Well, here we are in Jeremiah chapter 20. Jeremiah chapter 20. So we know what to expect. Jeremiah chapter 20. And from his own brethren, of course. Jeremiah chapter 20. You can know what to expect for the brother Jeremiah, the Israelite priest, from his own brethren. Here we go. Jeremiah chapter 20. Now, verse 1. Now Pashur, the son of Imar, the priest, who was also chief governor in the house of Yahweh. So he was a fellow priest. Jeremiah was a priest, and this man was a priest. Heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. Then Pashur smote Jeremiah the prophet and put him in stocks that were in the high gate of Benjamin, which was by the house of Yahweh. And it came to pass on the morrow that Pashur brought forth Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then said Jeremiah unto him, Yahweh hath not called thy name Pashur, but Magor Misabib. Magor Misabib. For thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends, and they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and thy eyes shall behold it. And I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword. Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of this city, all the laborers thereof, all the precious things thereof, all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall spoil them and take them and carry them to Babylon. Now, I want you to notice, he got beat down by Pashur, thrown in jail, and when Pashur came back, well, he had the word of the Most High on his lips, and he had it on his lips stronger than it was before. And I'm going to make you a terror to yourself. You and all your friends are going captive into Babylon. See, the true messengers don't weaken the message as the heat gets turned up. The message gets stronger. Here, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah standing before Nebuchadnezzar, the most powerful man on the planet, and telling them we don't have to be we don't have to be careful. We don't have to think about what we're going to answer you. We're not worshiping your gods. Our God can deliver us. And if he chooses not to deliver us, we're still not worshiping your gods. That shows no fear, brethren. You know what happened? Don't think that we just always walk around with no fear. The Most High gives us grace. That's what grace is for. Most people, because Christianity weakened it, making some soft, flowery stuff, almost effeminate thing. No. Grace is power. Grace is power given to us to do according to the Most High's will. That's grace. Okay? That's grace. Mercy is when he forgives us when we don't deserve it. That's mercy. Grace is giving us power at the time we need it. Okay, when them three brothers needed it in front of Nebuchadnezzar, and when Jeremiah needed it right here with Pashur. That's grace. Grace is the power given to us from the Father that we don't deserve, but is given to us for his glory. For his glory. That's what grace is. Okay. Christianity teach you some mess about grace, cause you not to be able to obey no law. Come on now. That's another thing. That's their God. The Israelite God gives grace for power so that we give glory to our God. That's the power. That's the reason. It's through grace. We are saved by grace. Yes, we are. That not of yourselves. It is the gift of Yahweh, not of works, lest any man should boast. For we are Yah's workmanship. He created us. We're his building, created unto good works through Messiah. That's Ephesians chapter 2. See, that's grace, y'all. That's real grace. Okay. You don't have the power in yourself. The power is given to you from the Father by grace. Jeremiah received grace right there. That's the only way we could stand for truth. That's the only way we could die for a cause of the Most High is by the power of his grace. There it is. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 20. Jeremiah chapter 20. Verse 5 again. Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of this city, all the labors thereof, and all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall spoil them and take them and carry them to Babylon. Thou, Pashur, and all that dwell in thy house shall go into captivity. Thou shalt come to Babylon, and there thou shalt die, and thou shalt be buried there. Thou and all thy friends whom thou hast prophesied lies. That was a big thing because before, see, now we've been so long in captivity, it's no big deal to us. But for an Israelite to be buried in a land that's not Israel was a big deal. Okay. Especially among the priests where they would have their own graves set up before they died. It was a big deal. So we buried in the land of your fathers was the major thing, right? See, now we don't, all of us been scattered. We're way away from the land of our fathers. You're not worried about that. But in that time, that was big. He said, you're going to be buried. You're going to die in Babylon and you're going to be buried there. Well, brothers and sisters, not just with Pashur, all of us too, right? We're scattered into all our enemies' land. Verse 7, Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 7. Yahweh, thou hast deceived me. Now Jeremiah is now complaining to the Most High. He's complaining because now he's got caught a beat down, right? Caught a beat down, was thrown in jail, right? He's complaining, oh, Yahweh, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of Yahweh was made a reproach unto me, and a derision daily. Then said I will not make mention of him. See, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. That's what he's saying. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Every time I open my mouth in your name, I catch a beat down. I'm catching problems. He said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Wouldn't you? He said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I ain't saying nothing else. Verse 9. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But what? His word was in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. See, brethren, when the Most High Spirit is upon us, you don't have to ever think about what you're going to say. You don't ever have to think about that. I know it's hard for us to do that because we always think about what we're going to say, but you don't have to think about that. His word is a fire in your bone by the power of his spirit. The Messiah said, you don't have to think about what you're going to say. He said, because your Father will give you at that time what you're supposed to say. Okay. Father will give you the words that you're supposed to say. Trust him, trust his spirit, trust his words. He'll bring it forth the way he wants it to be. And so that's what he said here. He was intent not to say anything else, but he was anointed. He was the anointed messenger for the people of Israel. Jeremiah was. He was anointed in the womb by the Most High to be his messenger, be his prophet. And so the Spirit of the Father was going to be in him. He said, what? He said, the word was in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing and could not stay. He had to open his mouth because the fire of the Spirit of the Father was in him. And it was commanding him to speak. It wasn't his own words. It was the words of the Father. First, and that's what Messiah said about him too. Then he said that. He said he don't speak his own words, the word of the Father that he speaks. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 10. For I heard the defaming of many, fear on every side. Report, say they, and we will report it. All my familiars watched for my halting, saying, peradventure, he will be enticed, and we will prevail against him, and we will take our revenge on him. But Yahweh is with me as a mighty, terrible one. Therefore, my persecutors shall stumble. They shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not prosper. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. But, O Yahweh of hosts, that triest the righteous and seeth the reins and the heart, let me see thy vengeance on them. For unto thee have I opened my cause. See, this ain't no weak, just forgive your enemies like that. You see what Jeremiah said? He said, I want to see your vengeance on them. I want to see your vengeance on them. Okay. But Messiah taught us to love our enemies. But I want to tell you, Messiah was talking to Hebrews about Hebrews. People don't get that. When you read the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, what we always need to remember, Messiah did not go to talk to Gentiles. The closest thing to a Gentile he talked to was that Samaritan woman. And the Samaritans were really mixed with the Hebrew seed and the Assyrian seed, which is Hamitic. Okay? And so he didn't speak to the Gentiles of Ethos. He didn't talk to them. He didn't talk to them. So when all of these teachings you're reading about in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, is him telling his people to love his people. You understand? Him telling his people, love your brothers, even your enemy. The people that are your brothers, they fought each other. Just like we do today. Don't we kill ourselves? Now, I know we've been set up to do it. It's a setup. Don't get it twisted. The neighborhoods we live in where we struggling, we struggling for $1. We'll steal a catalytic converter to try to get a couple of dollars. That's a setup. We've been set up. And it's not just now. That setup's over 200 years old, y'all. Okay? To make us be in want, as the Bible said we would be, in want of all things. So brothers start getting desperate. Then you throw drugs in the neighborhood, you redline the neighborhood, you throw some bullets and guns in there, and you got what you got. We killing each other. But you know what? When we awaken, when the brothers start waking up, and they starting already, they're not going to be killing each other. They're going to understand what this is about. Just like I'm telling you, they're going to understand what it's about. And the Most High will provide for them, even in their want. He'll provide for them in the enemy's land. And they don't have to steal. They won't have to kill. They won't have to just go get theirs. They have a different mindset. The mindset to be from the kingdom of the Most High Yahweh. And they'll be followers of him. It's already happening. It's happening in the hoods all over the United States. Slowly, but it's happening. And it's going to grow, brethren. It's going to grow so that the trap laid for us will not prosper. The trap laid for us will not prosper. Okay, let's continue. But in Jeremiah's case, they were trying to kill him, his own brethren, trying to kill him. Verse 11, Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 11. But Yahweh is with me as a mighty, terrible one. Therefore, my persecutors shall stumble. They shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed. For they shall not prosper. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. But, O Yahweh of hosts, that triest the righteous and seeth the reins and the heart, let me see thy vengeance on them. For unto thee have I opened my cause. Sing unto Yahweh. Praise ye Yahweh, or hallelujah. For he hath delivered the soul of the poor from the hand of the evildoer. Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, saying, a man child is born unto thee, making him very glad. And let that man be as the cities which Yahweh overthrew and repented not. And let him hear the cry in the morning and the shouting at noontide, because he slew me not from the womb, that my mother might have been my grave, and her womb be always great with me. Wherefore came I forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame. Y'all felt like that at times, I'm sure. We've all felt like that at times. Been so low, been wondering why we were brought forth, right? Been so low, felt so bad, wonder why we was here. Seen things that were so ugly. Why were we brought forth? What's the purpose of this, man? But now we know. Just like we, I love the word because it shows the prophet as he going through the situation, as he's feeling. You understand? It's showing the prophet how he's feeling. As you and I would be feeling, our brothers trying to kill us. As definitely as Malcolm X must have felt the day he stood in the Audubon ballroom, knowing brothers was coming in there to kill him. Knowing they was coming in there. Just the week before, they were interviewing him, and he said, I'm already a dead man. He said, I know that. I know they coming to kill me. He already knew. Okay. And yet he didn't have him checked at the door. He didn't say, take the guns from the brothers coming in. He didn't do that. He loved his brothers. See, Malcolm X he didn't even realize he was practicing the preaching of Messiah. He was loving his enemies. That's exactly what he was doing. He said, I don't want brothers killing brothers. Do you know that there were some brothers in the hood at that time that were ready to fight for Malcolm X and kill anybody that was against him? There were brothers at that time on the street level, even drug dealers that was like, you need some help? You want us to come for you? We got you. There were brothers like that. And Malcolm X said, no, I don't want brothers killing brothers in the streets. That's what he said. Because he loved his enemies, his own brothers. Okay? He loved his brothers. He didn't realize he was practicing. He was always talking about we not turning the other cheek. Well, they were telling the Caucasian people was afraid. They was afraid that he was going to have his people turn on them. So they were, we should turn the other cheek. But that's not what the Messiah was talking about. He was talking to his Israelites. He said, y'all should love one another. He said, you should love one another as I have loved you. He said, when your enemy wants something, give it to him. Don't fight him with it. That's your brother. You understand? And he counted Samaritans as part of it also. He counted Samaritans too. For remember, he said, man said, who's my neighbor? He said, there was a Samaritan man. He said, there was a Hebrew that was jumped. Remember that story? He said, he was jumped, he was beaten, and a Samaritan came. He said, Levite walked right past him, priest walked right past him. He said, Samaritan came and helped him. Put him in the inn, paid for him, bound up his wounds, and paid for him every night. He said, he told the innkeeper, if you need more money, keep him here until he's good, and then I'll pay you when I come back. And he said, which one of those brothers was his neighbor? He said, the guy that showed mercy on him. He said, go and do thou likewise. But you never seen him talking about the ethos like that. With the ethos, with the Gentile, he tell us this. This is what he say: be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. That's the way he teach us. In other words, try to avoid the trouble. He's not telling you let them come in there and drag your children out and lynch them like they did with Emmett Till in the middle of the night. Just come into the house, they bring us that nigga out here, and they took the little 14-year-old boy, tortured him, and killed him. No. That's not what our God tell us to do. Shoot, they roll up on your house like that for a little boy, they're gonna find some lead. You understand what I'm saying? That's how that's supposed to roll. But we trying to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. We're not trying to start trouble. We're not trying to instigate. We're going to not burning nobody's church or going to attack anybody. But we're going to defend ourselves if we need to. That's common sense. But when he's talking about loving your enemies, he's talking about the brothers. He said, don't hate each other. And you could see that again today. People are hating each other. Brothers killing brothers. Now, again, I say it's a setup. But when the awakening, we just praise it. That's why I'm so happy for the awakening of the Most High chosen according to the prophetic word. We are awakening so that this killing of each other can stop. Though it's been set up for us to do that. They've been trying to kill us from Planned Parenthood, from redlining, from crack cocaine, from methadone, from all this. They're trying to kill heroin. They're trying to have us kill each other. And that's why people always talk about the economy is getting good. Well, it's getting good for everybody but us. Our brothers, when you see people start robbing and stealing and carjacking, it ain't because they think it's fun. It ain't because they joyriding. They desperate. They're desperate. And they're trying to get $1 any kind of way they can. And that's how they doing it. Okay? That's how they doing it. So instead of understanding that that's the case, and maybe bringing some jobs, some education, stuff like that, what they do? Build bigger prisons. That's what they do. Build bigger prisons. And you know what else, brethren? When the crack was on us, they built bigger prisons. Now the opioids on them, they want more counselors. Come on now. It's what it is, though, isn't it? That's the truth about it. Okay? That's why I praise the Most High for the awakening. Forget all that. Let's come back to our God. Come back to the Most High Yahweh. In the name of Messiah Yahushua, the covenant of our God. Forget all these other nations. Come back to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's going to give us the power, the strength. He's going to protect us. He's going to guide us in the way we should go so that we don't be killing each other. Okay? I pray the Most High Yahweh bless you and keep you. I pray he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. I pray he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.